Pluto and Aquarius, the dark side of Aquarius, like the Bruce Dickinson song. What a great song that is, too. I'm going to talk a little bit about this archetype because I am pretty plutonic by nature, and I have an aspect in my own astrology chart of Pluto trining my sun. And so I have a natural interest in the shadow of the psyche, the dark side of the psyche, those kind of subjects, those taboo subjects, because Pluto really rules power, manipulation, taboo, sex, money, power, crime, the underworld, things that are hidden. And I'm going to talk about this archetype a little bit as Pluto's about to ingress into Aquarius, but not in the way most people, everyone on the internet, is going sign by sign, which is fine, but I think people can do their own homework on that subject to work that one out. Wherever Pluto's transiting in your chart is going to bring up some pretty deep issues for the next 20 years or so. So I like to look at this thing as Pluto rules psychology, Aquarius rules the collective, and there are two flip sides to this because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and Uranus. So there's going to be, I think, I think the power of transformation, because Pluto rules transformation. There's two sides to Aquarius. We've got the Saturnian and the Uranian one, and I think with Pluto entering Aquarius, we could, because Aquarius is a fixed sign, it's cold, so we could have this plutonic kind of dictatorship or cold hard facts of science. Show me the data, show me what does a supercomputer tell me what to do, disconnecting from this kind of human integration or touch. We're using the cyborg, we're using AI, we're using tech, and there's potential for us to lose our humanity in this. But there's also, I personally think, this Promethean side to it, which is ruled by that Uranian side of Aquarius, which stands for individuality, freedom. As Ayn Rand would say, the virtue of selfishness. And because Pluto's going to rule the shadow of the collective, then the virtue of selfishness, selfhood, self-esteem, people are going to need to, which I personally think, when we really tap into our own essence, our own unique qualities, which you really get from our understanding our astrological chart. So if we can fulfill our destiny in our individuation process, this is what's going to transform the collective. And I think this is what's really going to happen when Pluto enters Aquarius. This is a chance for people to really individualize themselves to transform the collective. And I think that's really powerful, because I think it's going to be end of democracy. There's going to be big change in government, clearly. A lot of jobs are going to be taken over by the AI and the supercomputers and all this kind of stuff, cyborgs, robots, whatever. And that's potentially will happen. But on the flip side of that, when kind of all those things do happen, there's a chance for humanity to become more artistic, more spiritual, more philosophical, more psychological. It gives us a greater affinity to help us understand ourselves and the collective at large. And I think this is one of the most powerful things that's going to happen in this Pluto Aquarian age, because we know last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the French Revolution, and Pluto rules the archetype of death, and there could be a lot of different or unique understandings around this archetype. It may bring it more to the surface, which it will. And the last few years, from what we've been going through with forced medications and things like this, one of the things about Aquarius is it actually rules the blood and the venous circulation, and hence that Pluto will bring what's hidden in the blood out to the surface and bring everything to light. At some point in time during this transit, we are going to know exactly what that medication has done to people and how it is actually going to manifest for them within their bodies. And that's going to be a very, very interesting thing to look at. And so we can see from this Pluto Aquarian nature that, Pluto rules genetics, so there's a lot of change in genes, gene editing, or this kind of thing, the transhumanism, because Aquarius is an androgynous sign, so we do have this trans kind of agenda which has been going on and really forced down our throats at the moment. But I think the way out of this and the way to navigate this is to come to light with our own shadows within ourselves, and whichever area Pluto's aspecting in our chart, then it's a chance for us to do our own digging into our own psyches within that area and see how we can play out. Because really all the shadow is really going to play out through the collective, because Uranus rules humanity. So it's going to be the shadow of the collective, and we've already seen this anyway the last 2 years. People going nuts, the virtue signaling, a loose behavior out in the public, which really does nothing for no one. These people are out there screaming and getting violent, and all in the name of doing things for the greater good of humanity, which is just an insult to the intelligence. And that's the dark side of the collective. That's the shadow of the collective. And so this kind of aspect is demanding to be transformed. And I think the way it can be transformed is for people to become more Promethean and become more individualistic. That doesn't mean you don't help people, but you don't want to drown in the waters, so to speak, of altruism. So, I think Ayn Rand's work is absolutely critical to understand at this time, and especially her work on her great book, The Virtue of Selfishness, because it's being an individual and understanding our individual talents and what value we actually have to add to the collective is what's going to enable us to transform it. And that can only happen from the individual point of view. I mean, that also doesn't mean, we become so isolated, because we need the collective to a certain extent, but then not to the extent that we're all equal and all made the same and this kind of thing. And I think that it's going to be really the age of psychology and people wanting to do their own digging into their own shadows. And what shadow work means is just moving emotion. There's nothing magical about it. It's just like, as Arthur Yanel says, use the body to get into the feeling, or creating the space to be able to process and have a time to process our own madness and acknowledge it. Move the emotion. That's it. Like the arts of Tai Chi and Qigong, it's all moving through the body, moving the emotion through the body. And I think this is going to really come to light in this age, because the Aquarian area, the Aquarian energy will bring power to the people. And I think this is one of the greatest chances we have to overthrow democracy and to become a beacon of light within ourselves in order to transform that collective consciousness. And yeah, it's very interesting. It's an interesting time. And like I said, on that health perspective, Aquarius does rule that Venus circulation. It has a reflex zone between Aquarius, the opposite sign is Leo, so things do affect the heart. This is why we are actually seeing all these kind of, well, obviously from the medication we've seen heart problems, But on an actual fact too, I think what's going to be one of the most groundbreaking breakthroughs with Pluto in Aquarius will be exposing the dirty electricity and the EMF exposure and the EMF radiation and how it really does affect us biologically. I think this is going to be huge. I think this will come out in this time, and we'll realize that what we're actually doing is actually harming us with these kind of things. And there's plenty of research on this, like that brilliant book, The Invisible Rainbow, the study of electricity and life. And I think a lot of these kind of things will come to the surface of because obviously Aquarius has that Uranian side and it rules electricity, and this is another thing. And also other ways to navigate the blood poisoning would be things like which will, because obviously the Pluto will pull, it draws things from the deep reservoirs of the body to the surface. So in the next, obviously, 20 years, it's not rocket science, but we will know how the effects of this medication has affected people. And anything that damages the blood, damages the Shen, the spirit. And when that happens, it's going to corrupt the mind, because the mind is connected to the heart, and the heart is the governor of blood. And so Taoist alchemical type treatments such as bloodletting, low channel treatments in acupuncture will become absolutely critical. I've already noticed this clinically myself and with people with certain problems, and I think it's just going to become more and more apparent after this time. So I think that it's going to be as anything, like last time the French Revolution was Pluto in Aquarius. It's going to be a revolutionary time, and I think it's a time where the government will start probably shitting themselves, because I think it will end up power to the people, and hopefully there's going to be a great transformation for the better. I'm overly optimistic about this. But I think we are going to have a rough ride, because I think Pluto in Aquarius is going to demand a fight for our freedom. It's not just going to be handed to us. So it's a time to become more heroic than we ever have been. And this is when people have got to understand their own destiny, their own astrology charts, the value they have to offer, because this is what is ultimately going to transform the world. So this is my little take on this. I could go on for hours about it, but I just wanted to throw this in. So we'll see how this time will ride out. It's going to be absolutely fascinating.